Gary Wilson and Chris Tremlett both hit the best scores of their careers as they took their Surrey side well clear of Leicestershire on the second day of the LV County Championship match at the Kia Oval. Both batsmen began the second morning on 44, made out of their side's 325 for 7. Wilson was first to his 50, which arrived with a pull shot off Nathan Buck, which brought the Surrey skipper his 8th 4 off his 152nd delivery. Tremlett was at his mark in the next over with a 2 taken off Charlie Shrek. That took him to a half century for only the 9th time in his career, and it came off 92 deliveries with 5 4s and 1 6 included. Leicestershire would have hoped that that was enough of this annoying 8th wicket partnership, but alas for them, it was nowhere near finished yet. The next thing for Tremlett to do was beat his previous best score, which was the 64 he made for Hampshire against Gloucestershire some 9 years ago. That was done with this 4 off Rob Taylor. These two had come together on the previous day with the game nicely balanced. Surrey had slipped to 243 for 7 and they would probably have been happy with a final total of around 300. They were already well beyond that as these two became the latest to ruin a rather good position for Leicestershire. They're a team which has forgotten how to win 4-day games, and that's been in evidence throughout this summer, a summer where they've lost matches with a session here and a session there. Wilson and Tremlett also matched each other shot for shot as they batted through the entire morning session and then into the afternoon one, taking their partnership for the 8th wicket to 192, the best for that wicket against Leicestershire by Surrey, and only 13 short of the 205 put on by Ian Gregg and Martin Bicknell back in 1990 for the best for this wicket against anybody, but that was when the summer was hot and the ball virtually had no seam on it. Tremlett was into uncharted territory, closing in on his maiden 100. He then fetched a short ball from Ben Rain and was caught at fine leg by Buck. He was out for 90 and may struggle to get a better chance to make a ton again. The Leicestershire attack had been demoralised in that extraordinary partnership which now had Surrey on 435 for 8. Wilson did what Tremlett couldn't by reaching the 3rd 100 of his career. It had been a fantastic captain's innings which had changed the nature of this game. It was made off 246 balls with 15 4s included. Matt Dunn fell cheaply and rather tamely. Matt Boyce with the simple catch at short leg off the bowling of Dan Redfern. With the score now on 440 for 9, Leicestershire must have thought that that was just about it, with Jay Dernbach on his way to the middle. But Wilson then really took over. He'd started his innings digging his side out of a bit of a hole, but ended it by taking them well past 500. An effortless flick through mid-wicket for yet another 4 now took him to his personal best, overtaking the 125 he made against this same opposition 4 summers ago. With that out of the way, the Irishman now went for his shots to frustrate Leicestershire even further. Both Redfern and Jigger-Naik were nailed for 6s, fantastic shots that came right off the middle of Wilson's bat, which the visitors must have thought was about 6 foot wide by now. He's taken to the role of captain exceptionally well and now went to a 150 for the first time. He'd faced 288 balls from which had come 24s and those 2 recent maximums, and he still batted on to take his side beyond 500. Dernbach backed up his skipper well too. He stuck it out for an hour in making an undefeated 23 when Wilson decided enough was enough. He took them in with his side on 522 for 9, made in 152 overs, and that gave the Leicestershire openers half a dozen overs before tea to survive. Angus Robson must have been walking on air after his brother's 100 in just his second test match, and he looked in very good nick himself from the off. Tremlett was awarded his county cap during the tea break, and his superb day continued when he had Boyce nicking off to him after making just a couple of an opening partnership of 26. 21 more were added before Ned Eckersley was LBW to Dernbach, as Leicestershire soon had their backs up against the wall again. Thankfully for them, they still had Robson at the crease. His career has come on leaps and bounds this summer, in spite of the struggles of his team. Indeed, this shot took him to his 6th 50 of the season, and by the end of this innings he'd made 600 runs in the Championship this summer. He played in only 3 matches last year, but has now firmly established himself at the top of the order. The one thing missing so far is 100. He's got close on a few occasions this summer, and there would have been a nice bit of symmetry if he'd done that in the same week as his brother scored his maiden Test ton. At least Angus and Redfern did bat out much of the rest of the day as they added an untroubled 73 runs for the third wicket in 20 overs. Robson just needed to see the day out, but with just 9 balls remaining, he tried to work Dunn to leg only to miss the ball in front of his stumps. He had to drag himself off with 75 very good runs to his name. Leicestershire closed on 125 for 3, which means that they'll enter day 3 trailing by 397 runs. Their first job will be to get to a score of 373 to avoid the follow-on, which may go a long way to drawing this game. That, though, is a long way off, and they have much to do to avoid a 4th successive defeat.